Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Welcome back to Love in Life. We are in August. I cannot believe it. So at the time of recording this, it's the 1st of August. And I don't know where you are listening from in the world, but here in the UK, July has been an absolute washout. So we had a lovely May and June, and July was just, it's just been written off basically. So I'm hoping for some lovely weather in August. However, we are going away for 2 weeks of it, so hopefully I don't miss too much of the nice weather. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Like I say, wherever you're listening from in the world, welcome, and thanks so much for coming back. This week, I just want to say a special hi to all of my listeners, but every week I like to choose somewhere different just to say a big thank you. And this week, I would just like to say thanks to my listeners in Birmingham in the UK. I think it's easy for me to look at where people listen from in America, Australia, other places in the world, because that to me just seems, I love the fact that people listen to me from so far away. But I mustn't forget that people on my doorstep also listen to me as well. So I just want to say thank you so much, my listeners from Birmingham, for tuning in. You're only an hour away from me. Our accent's very, very different. It's funny, isn't it, how accents change, even though you're very close to people. But yeah, we're very different, but so close. And so I just want to say hello and thank you so, so much for taking the time to listen today. So there's not much to update you on in terms of what I've been up to in the last 2 weeks since you last heard from me, because as you know, I've been super duper busy doing all of my practice sessions for belief coding. I've done most of them now, so I am almost to the point of handing everything in for accreditation. So that is really exciting, and I'm excited to see what comes from this. And I did go and see the Barbie movie on Monday with my sister and the kids. Have you seen it? If so, what did you think of it? We had mixed feelings on this. So me and my sister were both a bit like, at points we were like, what are we watching? It's meant to be a laugh. It's not meant to be taken too seriously. Obviously if you've seen it and you know what the storyline is, the underlying message is very serious. However, the storyline itself is meant to be a laugh. And, at some points, me and Sarah did look at each other and we were like, what the hell are we doing here? But I did love the overall message. And especially when Barbie came to the realization, what am I saying? I'm giving away spoilers here. I'm not going to give anything away. But I did love how it went sort of sided towards men, sided towards women, and then it was equal in the end. So I did like that. But yeah, I did particularly like the message about sort of losing yourself, because I think whatever you do in life, wherever you are, whatever you do, I think we all come to a point where we lose ourselves a little bit and we're unsure who we are and where we belong. And this certainly made me think of myself only a couple of years ago when the boys had started, and I remember talking about this in early episodes, but when the boys had got to an age where they just didn't need me so much anymore, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, what's my purpose in life? I'm no longer, like, even though I've always had a business from home since having the kids, not always, but my purpose has always been, really ultimately I'm a stay-at-home mum who has a business. And my priority has always been looking after Craig and the boys. And it's a bit like, God, they don't need me as much anymore. So yeah, it did make me feel a little bit emotional, because that is exactly how I felt for a few years until not so long ago. And I feel completely different now. I feel like I'm stepping into my own power. So I could really resonate with that, watching that part of the movie. So yeah, I did enjoy it. The subject I want to talk about today is something that was inspired by a social media post that I saw a few weeks ago. And this is actually what I intended to talk about on my last episode, but obviously I just spent the whole time talking about myself. Thanks for the feedback on that episode, by the way. I sometimes get a little bit worried about talking about myself, especially for the length that I did last time. But the feedback I had, like everybody's interested in hearing my updates. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Anyway, back to this week's episode. And this week's episode is going to be slightly different to what I would normally do, because I'm going to get you to do things along with me. I think of things along with me. And if you do need a bit of help along the way, then I have got a free download which you can use alongside this to help you out. So the social media post that I saw had the following words in it. Appreciate all the things you have now that you once hoped for. And that really got me thinking. So I'm just going to say that again. Appreciate all the things you have now that you once hoped for. Because we were all somewhere once looking to the future, wishing, hoping, manifesting, visualizing for something that we have got today. So what I want the point of this episode to be is to understand, not to take what we have achieved for granted, and to just take a little bit of time sometimes to reflect on what we have got that we once wanted. Okay, so what I want you to do is think back to a year ago. A year ago. Where were you? What did you hope for? And what did you dream of? And maybe this is something material. Maybe this is something to do with family. Maybe this is something to do with love, or your house, or a job or business. Maybe it's something to do with your body image, or how you feel about yourself. Maybe it's health. So what were you doing 1 year ago? And what have you got now that you hoped for back then? And I just want you to take a minute to have a little think about that. Sorry if you can hear Hugo in the background snoring. And if you struggle to think of where you were a year ago and find something that you've got now that you didn't have then, because I know a year goes so blooming fast. Think of where you were 5 years ago. So we're in 2023 now. What were you doing in 2018? Think of what you were doing 5 years ago. What did you dream for? What did you really, really want to bring into your life? And do this for 10 years ago as well. 10 years ago, where were you? What did you really desire and hope for? And what of that have you got now? What have you managed to achieve that you once really, really wanted and probably couldn't even imagine, couldn't believe that you would ever make it come true? For me, mine, 10 years ago, this time 10 years ago, I had the dream of owning my own cake business and working for myself. And that's obviously something I've achieved and moved on from. Even, 10 years is a long time. But yeah, that is crazy actually to think that's where I was 10 years ago. And there wasn't really anything. Even back then, I felt a little bit, I don't really know what I want. I just know that I want to be at home with my kids and I love making cakes. So it was kind of like, do you know what, that works? That is going to work for me. So that's what I wanted. So when you've thought of something from a year ago, something from 5 years ago, something from 10 years ago, I just want you to think, what did you have to do to get those things? What actions did you have to put in place? What inspired action did you need to take? Like, did you have to sit down and make a business plan? Or if it was upgrading your house, did you have to put your house on the market? Did you have to do things in order to get your house up together in order to put it on the market? What things did you have to do to achieve that? What goals did you need to set? What goals did you set? Did you manifest? Did you use visualization? Some of these things you might still be taking action now. And for a lot of these things, you probably had to make changes to your mindset. Because as we all know, our limiting beliefs quite often get in the way of allowing us to achieve what we want to achieve, especially if it involves stepping outside of our comfort zone. So you've probably had to work out ways that you can step outside your comfort zone and change your mindset and achieve those things. Other actions you might have done or put into place are letting go of things. So, for example, if you've dreamt of a more loving relationship, you might have had to let go of one relationship that you knew deep down wasn't working for you. And you knew that was never going to change. So maybe you've had to draw the line and end that relationship in order to achieve the relationship that you have now. Maybe you have a more loving relationship with somebody else. And that also goes for friendships. That goes for relationships with family members. What things have you had to let go of? What ideas have you had to let go of that hold you back? And when I say ideas, I mean limiting beliefs. What ideas about yourself, what beliefs about yourself have you had to let go of to believe you're worthy of those better relationships? You may have had to change something about yourself to make yourself more in alignment with those things. We've talked about this before when it comes to manifesting and being on the same vibration and frequency as something. You have to be in alignment with this yourself. So maybe there's something that you can think of that you've had to change about yourself, like how you speak about yourself, how you allow people to treat you. Another action you may have had to put in place is to invest in yourself. Like quite often to launch a business, to make a career change, to change your mindset. We often have to, even to change your body image, if you want to get healthier and lose weight, we often have to invest in ourselves. And if that means investing in the gym, if that means investing in a coach, if that means investing in a course that you need to sign up for in order to be able to achieve what it is you want to achieve. Maybe you've had to invest in yourself. And that can be a financial investment. That could be a time investment. And then I would just like you to have a look at these things that you've written down. Or you may not have written them down. If you've just thought of them. Because you can do this exercise anywhere. If you're in the car, you can pause this episode whilst you think of things that you've achieved. Which of these that you've thought of did you never think would be achievable? What of these things did you honestly think it's going to take a bloody miracle to achieve this? Or I'm going to have to invest a lot of money to achieve this? Or I'm going to have to work my butt off to get this? I want you to realise how far you've come, what you've had to do, really how much you've had to put in to achieving that. And this right here is why it's okay to dream. This is why it's okay. This is why it's good to have goals that you think are unachievable. And it's by having these seemingly unrealistic, unachievable goals that you think might sound really stupid at the same time of setting them. It's having those that makes you strive, that makes you work that little bit harder, that makes you invest that little bit more in yourself, time-wise and financially. It's having those that makes you overcome those limiting beliefs that are holding you back and have been holding you back for years. Because I quite often hear people saying, you shouldn't dream too much into the future, focus on the present, because you'll miss it. And whilst I don't disagree with that, obviously that is true to a certain extent, this is why it's okay to dream. This is why it's okay to focus on what's ahead, as long as you're taking the steps you need to take to get there and not giving up at the first hurdle, but also looking back and reflecting on what you've achieved. This is why it's good to make vision boards. Again, that's another thing I hear people say. You shouldn't make vision boards because you're just dreaming. You're not present. You're not being grateful for what you've got. That's absolutely not true at all. You can have both. You can be grateful for what you've got and still want more. You can still be grateful for knowing what's got you to the point that you're at now. As long as you are grateful for that and don't forget it and don't take it for granted. Now, how do we make sure we don't take these things for granted? Well, for a start, by taking part in exercises like this, by looking back and realising what you've achieved. That's how we make sure we don't take it for granted. Realising what we had to put ourselves through to take the steps to get there. Other things we can do along the way are things like celebrating wins, celebrating successes and achievements. Like, not only does that let the universe know your intentions, like, yeah, I am celebrating this. It's also being grateful as well. By celebrating it, you're being grateful for the process that you've had to go through. By celebrating it, you're showing yourself and the universe that whatever you've had to do to get there has been worth it. Also, gratitude practices that we take part in. So whether that's a morning gratitude list, whether that's reflecting back on each month or on each year, but just physically practicing gratitude And taking time to sit down and write down, I always say writing it down just makes it so much more effective. Writing down what you are grateful for each morning, each week, however often you decide to do it, will make sure that you don't take things for granted. And who can you thank for helping you achieve what you've achieved? Whether that's a partner or a friend who's gone alongside this with you, somebody who's supported you financially, whether that's loaning you money or giving you experience, work experience that has helped you get to this point, whether that's thanking a particular or being grateful for a particular organization that has allowed you to learn something new or realize something, like reaching out and actually physically thanking these people sends such a big message to them, to yourself, and to the universe. Another good way to not take your achievements for granted is to keep your old vision boards. So whenever you do a vision board now, or whenever you have a goals list or a desires list, however you decide to set your goals, to set your dreams, to set your desires, keep them. And then whenever you come across them, however that may be, you don't have to set an intention to do this, but whenever you come across them, you can look back and you think, bloody hell, look what I've achieved in that time. Because, I've always said about having my vision board on my phone. Well, each of the vision boards I've had, they're all saved as images on my phone. So whenever I go through my Google Photos, for example, which is backed up on my phone, I might have forgotten about the ones that I used to have, but then whenever I come across it, I'll think, oh my God, that was on my vision board and I've achieved it. So little things like that, like if you make a physical vision board, if you have a physical list, keep it and just hide it somewhere silly. And whenever you come across it, then you will be grateful. You will look back at it and you will be grateful for what you've achieved. And look back on those old goals that you've now achieved and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because not only have you achieved them, but they've probably led you to the next step of achieving the next thing you want to achieve. Because success and achievements, goals, they're all incremental. They're not linear. They're all incremental. You can't go from, I don't know, let's say earning £1,000 a month to say £10,000 a month without building it up along the way. I don't know, maybe you can. If you can, then please someone tell me the secret. But you know what I mean? All these little things that you've achieved along the way. Like at one point, you could have only dreamt of earning that £1,000 a month. And I also just want to say, if you look back on your old goals and you think, or you didn't achieve those things, and that's because your priorities have changed. And let me just think of an example here. So if, say 10 years ago, you dreamt of having a family, you dreamt of having kids and a family, whereas you haven't got that now, but maybe your priorities have changed. Maybe the reason why you wanted to have children was because that was what society told you and you thought that's what you wanted. And now you've realised that actually you don't have to conform to what society tells you and that it is okay to make your own decisions on what you want from your life. Something along those lines. You know what I'm trying to say. It's okay for your priorities to change, for your desires to change. Maybe the relationship that you were in when you wanted children has changed. You have a different relationship now, and maybe you have different goals together. That's absolutely fine. And you should celebrate that as well. And there probably are going to be things on our vision boards and our lists that we may not have achieved. And that doesn't mean that you failed. That just means that you haven't achieved it yet. Or like I said, maybe your priorities have changed. Maybe there's other things that you have achieved or that you have prioritized over it that have been more important. Maybe there was something that you did think was truly unachievable or unrealistic on your list, and you haven't done the work that you needed to do to get there. Again, that is absolutely fine. If this exercise makes you look back and think, I could have done more to achieve that, then let this be your inspiration to go back and to put in the work to do what you want to do. Because it's never too late. It's never too late. And you only have to go back to my episode about Jamie Lee Curtis to remind yourself that it's never too late. Oh my God, Hugo's just farted. Did you hear that? Sorry if you did. And I'm sorry if you didn't, because it's funny. So I'll put the worksheet that I've mentioned about this exercise, I will put that in the show notes. So please download that and use it to help you, guide you through this exercise. And I want to see what you've all achieved. I want to see in your stories, in your posts, please tag me in them. Send me your DM, send me a screenshot of what it is you've achieved. I love seeing this shit. I love seeing what people have achieved. And I'll look back and I'll do the same as well. There we go. I hope you found this episode and this exercise helpful to be able to look back and realise how bloody far you've come, how amazing you really are. Like, really, you are amazing. You really are. And I can't wait to see what you've achieved. Go follow me on Instagram and I will share what when I do this exercise, I'll share with you what I feel like I've achieved in those time frames. If you've loved this episode, please do rate and review. Leave me a review on Apple if you can. Rate me on Spotify if you can. I just love receiving your feedback, even if you are unable to rate or review in that way. Or if you can't be bothered, then that's fine. Send me a DM, send me a message. I love hearing from you. Just to let you know, I'm opening up my sessions, my appointments for belief coding sessions in September. If you need to know more about it, or if you have any questions that you want answering, if you just want to hear more, if you're just being nosy, whatever, I don't care. Let me know. I love talking about it. If you want an appointment, please let me know. I will book you in for September. If you want to know the prices, please let me know. I just love talk about it, and I can't wait to help lovely people unblock their limiting beliefs that have been holding them back for so long, change their beliefs that have been holding them back. Okay, that's all from me for this week. I will speak to you in 2 weeks' time. Whatever you're doing, if you're going on holiday or your vacation, however you're spending the first 2 weeks of August, have a super time. And I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. Bye.